Howdy ho. Back again for a pickups video, of course. Has it been a couple of months since my last one? Obviously, that's how I do things now. And looking at the state of the pile of things I've got, move my mic. I can't guarantee. I'm sitting really close to them. Sitting really close to the camera. But anyway, yeah, I can't guarantee this isn't going to be a fucking monster. So there are certain themes. There's a lot of heartbreak. I've got some stories, some good ones. A lot of heartbreak, a bit of drama. But yeah, I'll get to them. I think I'm gonna have to sort of I'm gonna have to intersperse them throughout this video. I'm going to start with the heartbreaking one, although heartbreaking in a sort of proportionately, not heartbreak in a sort of absolutely just world shattering way, but just in a very very slight sort of game collector way. But I'll get to that. And then there's another one about the drama, and then the third one is a bit of heartbreak, but it ends on a nice note. So I'll leave that to the end. Just looking at all my stuff. Gonna shed some more light on the subject. That's better. Yeah. I've forgotten where I was, but that's the mummy, by the way. Yeah. So it might be a long one because there's a few stories to tell and a big pile of shit because it's been too long and I've let it build up. And some of this I even got before I filmed my last one. No, uploaded my last one. That would have been stupid not to include it, wouldn't it? Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to break it up. So right, into a few films and DVDs and whatever. And then the stuff probably not worth having, and the stuff worth having, and then some stuff that's not from charity shops, because most of the drama, all of the drama actually, all of the stories and the heartbreak comes from charity shops. Who would think it? But it does happen. It's like if you spend as much time in them as I do, it's like a little soap opera. Right. Just a whiz through these. Let me just grab them. I whiz through these films. I've included. I've like last time. The pile was so huge that I had to. I had to leave them out. Leave some out, not all of them. Obviously, that would be stupid. Leave some out because it was would have been ridiculous otherwise. I wish that was a bit lighter, but someone's getting shot. Don't let it distract you. Yeah, like last time, I had to sort of filter some out, otherwise it would have been way too long. But as it is, it's already 3 minutes, and I haven't really done or said anything. So, right, the first one I just included because it's another example of the rare occasion where you actually get something in a charity shop that you've actually been looking out for, because that just happens so rarely. There's no value in it, but it's an actual upgrade of a film that I've got on DVD. This is a Blu-ray of one of the best Christmas films ever made, Rare Exports. It's a Christmas film. Look it up. It's really good. This one, this one lit purely just for the cover. No, actually, no. I did want it. Again, there's no value in this, but this is sort of pretty much a no-brainer because it was about. I think that probably that was £1, by the way. This would have been about 50p or something. No, it was £1. It's got a price on the back. There you go. I showed you it. It's a film called Conquest. Look at that cover. It's Lucio Fulci made Zombie Flesh Eaters. I don't think he did. He's more of a horror director. I don't think he did any spaghetti westerns or anything, but he definitely did for Zombie Flesh Eaters, and that's the one of the films of his I definitely know I've seen. and this is obviously riding on the back of Conan and all of that. And I just thought the cover's brilliant, you know. And it's. I looked up before, you know, after I got it, I looked up. I haven't watched it yet. I looked up a trailer, and it looks mental. Genuinely, really insane. Like really cheap, but nuts. You know, what's not better than cheap nuts? This one, an example of things that are worth getting in charity shops. DVDs. The vast majority of DVDs, if you're looking to trade them in, are worth nothing, peanuts, or they won't even take them. You know, 1p at best. This is a decent example of something that's worth not a lot, but if you can get it for like the standard like 20p in a charity shop, 20p or something like that, or like 10p in a you know, like 10 for £1 or something, or 5 for £1 or whatever, or 30, whatever, it's worth having. It's just those are quite rare. This is one of them, a fairly common, should be fairly easy to find DVD if you can get it cheap enough. It's Reach the Linklaters Before Midnight. Really good film. Might actually keep it, but this will get you. I think when I bought it, it would have got me £1.50 credit. It's now gone down to £1.20, but still, I think I paid peanuts for it, like 33p or something. But yeah, they are out there. Things that you could probably, if you know which ones to look for, there are some really common or fairly common DVDs that are sort of worth, if you're paying between 10p and 50p for, you know, you could multiply your money easily, build up some decent credit with very little outlay. This one, a little bit embarrassed. There's a story with this one. Went in this charity shop. I had a load of shopping. I had a bag. I always have a bag, and I had a load of stuff in it. And then I had a sort of a proper shopping bag, and so I was a little bit sort of cumbersome. I only had one hand free, and I went around to the charity shop. Didn't see anything, bar this one thing. Suicide Squad on 4K. The recent one, I've seen this. I don't actually mind it. It's a lot better than the other one. The other one was shite. This one's okay. I think it loses something in the second act or the last act or whatever. But yeah, I saw it. I thought I'll have that. You know, I think it was 50p. Yeah, pretty certain it was 50p. I thought I was going to go up to the counter, but then before I did, I realised there was a little pile of games in this sort of little nook behind the counter that you won't I could get to. It was accessible, so I thought, okay, I'll have a look at them. But I had all this bag full of stuff, you know, and I was a bit like cumbersome. There was already a woman looking at this stuff on the shelf, so I just sort of like sidled in next to her. There was space. I didn't barge her out the way or anything. And rather than put my stuff down, I decided to reach up to where there were Wii games. I think there was a Mario at the Olympic Games, something Mario Olympic Games, something like that. I decided to reach out with one hand, and there was a pile. And then, of course, what happened? I dropped them, and they all landed on the lady next to me. And I was like, shit, really, really apologetic, genuinely apologetic, and really embarrassed. And I said to her, "Oh, did I get you?" And she went, "Oh no, only my finger or my nail or something like that." So obviously I did get her, and I think she was underplaying it. I felt really, really bad. But I apologised, and it was fine. She went to the counter, paid for what she wanted, and I sort of eventually I wasn't going to get anything else. So I sort of stood behind her in the queue, and she moved aside, I said how much of this, and she had 50p, but then she wouldn't take my card because it was only 50p. So I thought, that's fine. I'll put it back. You know, I wasn't that bothered. But then the lady who I dropped stuff on out of the goodness of her heart, decided to sort of pay the 50p for me in cash. I was like, oh, I feel really bad, and I did want it, and I felt sometimes when you pass up someone's generosity, you feel as much of a twat as otherwise. So in the end, I thought, no, I'll let her pay the 50p, and it's 50p, and she was a nice, kind lady. It did make me feel doubly guilty for dropping the stuff on her. Then what I didn't tell her is that I bought it for I should have done. No, should have done. I should have turned it down on the basis that I was only going to buy it for trading in. Have I got? No, I can't remember. It's quite some decent credit in this, about £8 or something. And so I felt really guilty afterwards. I bottled admitting to her what I was actually buying it for. I bottled it, and then because of the guilt, I thought I can assuage the guilt by donating to some a charity later in the day. So that's what I did, just to make me feel slightly less guilty. I very much understand if anybody fancies leaving a thumb down purely on that basis. But Suicide Squad. Example, shit, audio, over 10 minutes box. An example of a film, certain films and certain genres are always worth picking up in charity shops. This is a Hammer horror film. I passed one up a month or so ago and regretted it. Turns out it would have been good trade. This sort of is another one, and I remembered that I passed up the other one. I thought, no, I'm going to have that, and it's The Devil Rides Out. It's a Hammer horror thing. I think Hammer horrors on Blu-ray are definitely worth having, but this might actually be a keeper because this is one of those films I can remember seeing bits of as a kid and being really freaked out. That bit where they're watching the devil worshippers summon the devil, and he's like this tiny little bloke with a goat head. It really creeped me out. But you can see him on the back. That's him there with his weird little goatee face. But this was about £1 or something. But it's good credit if I ever decide to trade it in. So things like Hammer horror films are definitely worth looking out for as Blu-rays. Other things that are worth looking out for, but you have to be very, very picky with these. I've mentioned in the past BFI DVDs, and they're a mixed bag, but you have to be picky, but they're often worth at least checking up. This one, went into a charity shop, there's a whole tub of like random stuff, like DVDs, someone's world movie collection, and other things like that. And I picked out 2 that I wanted, and I pretty much knew that they were going to be worth something, and turned out they were. This one, Pender's Fen by Alan Clark. It's about £6 credit. I think they were 75p. I think, yeah, 75p. That's about £6 credit, so it's BFI. So I'm running out of space. This one's better. This is £8 credit. This was more of a dead cert. It's The Devils by Ken Russell. I no idea what that's about. This one, isn't it sort of on the, comes after, I don't know what year it's made, 71. So I suppose has it come after the Summer of Love? There's lots of lot of skin in this, I think. Meant to be nuts. Lots of nudity, but some good credit. So is the nudity worth more than the credit? I don't know. Maybe. But it is like 70s nudity, so there will be a bit of quite a bit of bush. So yeah, The Devils. So that was £8. That would get me £8 credit, and this one was separate. This one was just a random purchase that I thought that's a no-brainer. I can't remember. This might even more credit. Actually, was that? Maybe that was 6. I think it might have been 6, and the other one 4. And I think this one's 8 credit. Godzilla. Again, a DVD. I think it cost £1. Yeah, that's £1. BFI. So They're always worth checking at least. Not necessarily worth having, but definitely worth checking. So there's like 3 British Film Institute DVDs that are all worth credit. Again, this might well be a keeper because it's Godzilla. So, right, that's my films. I'm going to stop it here and I'm going to shuffle some stuff around and make some space, and I'll get back to you. See you in a couple of seconds. Sorry. Right. I've got to learn my lesson. I keep sort of starting the video and then cutting off the beginning of what I'm saying, like I did last time, and the video started with me going blah, or something like that, talking rubbish. Yeah. This bit shouldn't take too long because it's basically stuff that's either not worth anything, not for keeping, it's for other reasons, or it's stuff that I took a punt on and shouldn't have done. But it was sort of like too much of something. It was too good to at least not take a punt on, so to speak. I couldn't pass it up, but turns out I should have done. Yeah. These first ones are just for case. It's just this one was 25p, I think, or 50p. Can't remember. It's just for case. Quite a decent case for a dancing stage. So just for case, Again, PS1 games in charity shops just for cases. Again, that's becoming uncommon, or is uncommon. Not even becoming uncommon. It is uncommon. Like I did last time. Cases for DS cases for my loose GBA games. That's what I'm doing now. I think these were probably all around about 50p or less. Can't remember. Got one more brain training. A brain training in an American case. Not a bit of variation. Another more brain training. And what's cooking, Jamie Oliver? Might give that a go because I'm not a cook by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, those are just for the cases. I'll move them out of the way. These are more interesting. Almost these first 3, I felt obliged. I couldn't really leave them there. But you think these would be a bit more interesting, a bit more worth having, but no, they're not. I'm not sure any of them are even things that CEX will take in. I don't know. But they're Dreamcast games in a charity shop, and they didn't have any prices on them. And I took them to the counter, and the woman didn't know how much they were. So in the end, she just went, £1 each. I thought, yeah, £1 each. I'll have them for £1 each. You can't just go. If she says £1 each, you can't go. Bit too much for me. I felt obliged by that time. Yeah, really nothing special. Hardcore ECW Revolution. CX don't take it. These aren't even worth having for donor cases because they're all a bit knacked. So like cracks everywhere. So makes me wonder why I bought them. Just because, passing up Dreamcast games. A football game. I don't even know what this one's called. Something 2000. SW Sega Worldwide Soccer 2000. This one might be a trader. Shadow Man. Yeah, this is probably the one that's more interesting than the other 2. Is this on any other format? Is it 360 or no? I can't remember if this is in any other format. Is it? I don't know. But so in that sense, it might be a keeper. It's, worthwhile game. These couple here were what I thought was an educated punt. Turns out I was way wrong. Not way wrong, but pretty wrong. Again, this is an incident of should have had a mobile phone with me. Should have had a way of looking them up, and then I would have passed. But basically, because of the price. If the price was even cheaper, they would have been worth it. But I paid $2.99 for both of these. And it turns out basically, only for the credit, and I'd only get my money back. I think they're both £3 credits, so I'd make a penny or something. Maybe not even that. I've got a feeling I might have. I've got a little note here as to what credit these things are worth. And I've got a feeling I might have got one wrong, written the wrong thing down. So I think I might have even lost £1 on one of these. I can't remember which one it is. But first one, I thought these were good. These are all worth having. Turns out it's a DS game. All the DS games in this series, this is the one that's probably not worth having. It's probably why it was there. There's a big batch of DS games in this charity shop, and they're all about £3. So not worth having for anything other than keeping and playing. It's Cooking Mama Outdoor Adventures. The Cooking Mama games, if they're cheap enough, are worth having. Most of them, bar this one. This one will get me £3 credit, I think. It might be £2. But, you know, might just play it. Or keep it for the case. £3 for a DS case for a GBA game. So, yeah. And I thought this one was worth more credit. Turns out it's not. It's Nintendo Land. Again, $2.99. So, a couple of boobs. A couple of medium-sized boobs. 2 more medium-sized boobs. There's a branch of Age UK. Excuse me, I'm going to have some water. My fucking cunt of a neighbour's watching Breaking Bad. I've watched Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad recently. Better Call Saul first, and then rewatched Breaking Bad. And my soundbar, it's okay, it's old, and so it doesn't do dialogue particularly well. So often I have to crank the volume up just so I can hear the dialogue. So when the music comes around, it's really loud. And I always sort of wondered if he can hear me next door. And now I suspect he did hear me next door, because he's now, since I've finished Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, he's watched Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad in exactly the same order, because I can hear him through the wall. I can hear the theme tunes. So anyway, onto the purpose of this video. There's a branch of Age UK near me. They don't really do second-hand stuff. It's really weird. They just do sort of, I think, cheap Chinese imports. Actually, none of it is, not all of it's cheap and nasty. Every now and again, some random stuff pops up, and you go, "This is just really weird." Like, they had these metal plaques they look like Akira posters, and they were only about A4 size. And I think I might get one of them, and some cheap Turtles figures that were, just bundled in a bag together, that probably weren't worth having. And then they had this random pair. Again, I don't know if this is the one. Yeah, they have random sort of sealed Xbox One games. This one was £2, and that's probably a reason why it was £2, because it's not worth having. And I thought, I saw Square Enix, and I sort of tried to work out what the sort of game it was. And I thought, this is probably worth a punt, because I had no clue. And I think this will lose me 20p credit on my £2 investment. So, but and another one. This was at different times, because they had multiples. They have multiples of these. I had about 3 or 4 of these, and I thought I was tempted to have them all, but luckily I didn't. I just thought I'd take one because it lessens the risk. This one, I think they had more. They had 5 or 6, I think. Borderlands 3, again £2. This was at separate occasions, and luckily I didn't buy them all up, because neither of them are worth anything. This might get me £1 extra. I can't remember, but see, a couple of medium-sized boobs. These aren't boobs. These are just sort of games that I wanted and were cheap, and that's the main reason for going to charity shops, isn't it? 007 Nightfire. James Bond 007 Nightfire. Not an Xbox game I had, and I lose track of the Xbox games on the original. If the James Bond games on the original Xbox, I can't remember if they're. I've not told you any of my stories. the first one will come next. Yeah, uh, I lose track of all of the James Bond games on the original Xbox if they're decent. I think some are better than others. I can't remember. I don't know if this one's one of the better ones, but I don't have any of them, so it was only £1. So why the hell not? And it's in decent nick. So yeah. And this one, another one game I wanted, and thought, why the hell not? Soul Calibur 4 for £1.75. Again, another charity shop purchase. So yeah, those are all of my fairly standard, not worth having or having for things like cases, but yeah, not bad. Or no, not bad, but middling. Middling is what I meant to say. So right, I'm gonna cut it here. I'm gonna try and remember what one of my stories were, and yeah, that's coming next. See you in a couple of seconds. Right, I'll remember to pause this time rather than just dive straight into it, so that it doesn't cut off what I want to say. It probably will still do that now. Such is my luck. Right, yeah. Probably the more heartbreaking of my stories. Went into a charity shop. What was it? It was a children's air ambulance. Yeah, because the government doesn't pay for air ambulances in this country, which blows my mind. So they have to have charity shops. Yeah, children's air ambulance. Went in there, didn't see anything. They had their back door open, and I had a sneaky peek, and saw what I thought, yeah, that looks like some good stuff. I saw the end, and then a whole load of spines sort of extending off into the distance of some PS2 games. The end, it was the back of a PS2 game, and a Judgment Call. I thought that looks a bit survival horror-y. I thought, tempting. But in front of that, even better, a little pile of what were most definitely Game Boy games in little plastic cases. They might have been Game Gear games, but I'm pretty certain they were Game Boy games. Little plastic cases, about 4 or 5 of them. And I thought, I can't not go and ask, can I? Because normally I'm not that sort of person. I don't like talking to people. I'm a bit of a, I hide. I would sort of anyway, yeah. But no, I thought I've summoned up the courage to. I'm going to go. Yeah, right. Because I knew I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't. Went up to the counter. There was a young guy and an older woman there, and I think she was quite clearly senior, and she was. I don't know what they were chatting about, but I just really politely said, "Can I? Will it be okay if I can see those video games that you have in your store cupboard?" And she just shot me down straight away. So in my head, because I never got to see them, in my head they were just all of the best stuff ever. But no, she went, "Oh, we haven't processed them yet, and we don't let people in our store cupboard." And it's basically, then she sort of then gave me a swift kick in the nuts for having the audacity of asking. Or no, she didn't really, but that's how it felt. And I was really pissed off for the rest of the day. And it's not often that they will just shoot you down like that. I mean, I don't ask that often, but usually but they probably knew what they had, so I suppose it's fair enough. They probably knew what they had, but yeah, bit of a gut punch, bit heartbreaking in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, I didn't get to see what those Game Boy games were, and then I thought. She said we haven't processed them, so I'm thinking that means they're going to look them up, and I think they are a sort of place that does look stuff up. I think most do now. Most do, don't they? If we're honest, most do, and that's fair enough. And I thought they're going to look them up, and they'll probably balance them, probably at a level that's either probably too, decent, but not like peanuts that you'd hoover everything up. So then that was, I think, I went back a couple of weeks later. I thought, if they've sort of set them at a higher price, they might still be there. Because they might have even put them on their website. I don't know if they've got one, but they might still be there. Or if they've set them at the sort of standard charity shop peanuts, they'll all have gone, won't they? And that's what I concocted in my head. That's the idea I thought up, and the hypothesis, is that the right term? And they're all gone. Not a Scooby. I think, oh no, it's just basically in my head. I'm thinking, oh, that's what I thought was a survival horror. It was clearly a Silent Hill. Or Silent Hill, was it Homecoming? The one I don't have. Was it Homecoming? I can't remember. Anyway, yeah. Of course, that's what it was, isn't it? Of course, but gutted. Right, moving on. I've done this out of order. I'm going to have to do my other story now. I was gonna sort of spread them out, but what should I? No, fuck it. Yeah, nearly had a scrap in a charity shop. It always seems to happen when I've got like loads of shopping and stuff. I have my bag. I've got a courier bag that I'll wear across like that, so I've got like a spare hand. And on this occasion, again, I had another big bag of shopping. I went into this charity shop, and it's a sort of fairly big charity shop, but it's sort of crammed full of stuff, so it's quite difficult to move around. And they don't have a massive section of DVDs, Blu-Rays, and music, but they're all crammed in together, and it's sort of probably sort of 3 or 4 feet wide and about sort of 6 feet high. And there was a bloke already sort of looking, which, fair enough. I know how these things work, the etiquette. I don't crowd him or anything. I just sort of stood back and tried to see what I could see. It's one I go in regularly, so I knew that they probably wouldn't have anything. But I also, at the same time, I knew it's a charity shop that has a decent turnover, so there might be something new. But I had a look, and he wasn't going to move out of the way. He don't think he sort of knew I was there. Which again, that's fair enough. But I saw what I could sort of see. This charity shop has all these wheelie clothes racks on wheels, and they sort of cram them in. So you have to sort of like sort of shuffle sideways sometimes, because the actual the areas are a bit narrow. So I sort of just spied. I think it was a copy of what was it? Burnout, one of the Burnout games. Burnout game on the PS3. It's a game I'd seen there previously, so I don't know why I even wanted to look at it. But don't you feel, if you ever go in charity shops and you see things that are not interesting, or things you've seen countless times before, but I personally always feel obliged to look at them, even though I know I'm not interested. Just go, because if there's nothing else there, and this was that occasion. I thought, I'll just go and have a look at that copy of one of the Burnout PS3 games. So I sort of like shuffled around to the side, and it was right on the other side, right on the far side of the shelf. And I wasn't impeding him in any way, this bloke. And I just reached up with my inside hand, and all my shopping was over here. And I had my quite full courier bag across me like this. And I just sort of reached up. And then the bloke stepped away, and then I thought he'd finished looking at what he wanted, but no, he started giving me abuse. I mean, hey, what's going on here? He goes, what you that for? You go, what? He went, you shoved me out of the way, you prick. What? You shoved me out of the way. Well, don't you think I didn't know you shoved me out of the way? I went, hey? And I was thinking, is this bloke nuts? Or did he generally think I shoved him out of the way? In my head, shoving someone out of the way is basically going like that, isn't it? That's shoving someone out of the way. But that's what he said. You shoved me out of the way. How did I shove him out of the way? I was thinking, how does he think I shoved him out of the way? At the time, I sort of moved in. I think he was looking at one of the lower shelves, so maybe his centre of gravity was a bit low. I think the best and the worst I could have done was like tickled him with my bag, because I literally had no sense that I'd touched anyone to my right. And I'm thinking, maybe I sort of like I brushed him ever so slightly with my bag, and he had no centre of gravity, so he sort of toppled forward. I don't know. He didn't go down or anything. Like it was either way. It was a massive sort of overstatement that I'd shoved him out of the way. But he started giving me abuse. I don't think he was nuts. I just think he was just an angry bloke. And then, it's not really would have normally have been an issue, but or something that I would register. But he was about my height, but he was a big lad, and I really, really, really wanted to say, look, mate, you're a big lad, and I'm not that strong. I wouldn't be able to shove you out of anywhere, but I didn't, because I thought that would only escalate the situation, and that's a charity shop I go in quite often. I didn't want to be banned for escalating a fight. I didn't start the fight, or at least not knowingly. I don't know how anyone can shove someone out of the way to the extent that this bloke said I did and not know it. But then he was clearly a bit of a twat, because he decided that he'd finished looking at all the stuff, and he walked past me to the back of the queue, and he was still giving me abuse over them. Just, oh, you fucking prick, you cunt, like this. I was thinking, oh. In the end, I'd seen everything I wanted to see, and I just went, oh, fuck off, you twat, and left. And you think, he's clearly a bit nuts if he's shouting over the charity shop, and the old dears behind the counter we're starting to go, what's going on here? But if someone's conducting an argument across a charity shop, then they've got to be a bit fucking mental, haven't they? I really want to say to him, look, mate, it would have taken me and the old dears behind the counter. We'd have had to brace ourselves and put some real shoulder into it to shove you out of anywhere, you fat twat. But I didn't. No. Anyway, moving on. It's a funny story. So, charity shop story. Not heartbreaking, but drama. Three games for £1. 3 games for £1. I had to get all of these. I wouldn't have already got them all, but this is a charity shop that does minimum of £3 for card transactions. And the first one, none of these games I've got, so I thought they were worth, probably keepers. Baja. I've looked this up gameplay, and it doesn't look all that, so I might just send it straight back into a charity shop. This is probably more of a keeper, but I'm Fear 3, sorry. This one, so I've got to check my note how much this one's worth in credit. Decent, it's a decent one. Street Fighter Cross Tekken, or X Tekken. So I didn't know how much this was worth in credit, but that's one of the 3 I picked. I left behind the that generation's. It's the basic version of Mortal Kombat, which probably would have been worth having over Baja. I think I should have had over Baja, but yeah, this one made it worthwhile. It probably will be a trader. It's a £10 credit, so it's brilliant. This is where all the credit gets better, by the way. Did I say that? This is where these are more worthwhile than that earlier pile of monstrosities. I wonder how long I'm at now. It's probably 40 minutes, I'm guessing. Right. I think I had a decent day, and these might come the same. I think these might come the same day as the Dreamcast games. I say decent day. I thought I had a decent day. I thought Dreamcast, anything of that generation, you're going to sort of be a little bit chuffed. But I think these came at the end. This first one is probably going to be a keeper, although this is a bit knackered and it hasn't got a manual. Crash Nitro Kart, you know, for £1 in a cancer research, and in the same cancer research in the same area, a Mario Galaxy 2. I think this has got a bit of a rough disc, so that's £12. That's £2 credit. That'll be £12 credit, so it's bargain. So it gets better from here. I can't remember how much this one was. It's just I think this was a £1. Animal Crossing. So I apologise if I keep looking down, but like I said, I've got my notes here. Animal Crossing, £6 credit. This I think it's £1 or £1.50 or something. This is the most recent one. I've got multiples of these. I'm gonna spread them out when I trade them in, so I don't look like someone who just goes around charity shops and spreads in, trades in multiples of things. I've used up most of my credit, by the way, but and I've got loads of stuff to trade in. But I'm it means going to talk to people. But Wii Sports Resort for £1. How much is that? I can't remember. £7 credit. It's not one I have. I just don't have any inclination to keep it, but I have an inclination to buy it to trade. I can't remember where these were from, but again, I thought they were worth having for trade. This one's less so, but Lego Hobbit for £1.50. Again, probably won't be a keeper. It might be. I think something my nieces might play. But if you can see all the crap behind me, that's the remnants of them coming round here wanting to play games, and then I think we played three-player Mario Kart on the Wii, and I've got steering wheels now, and because I know they like Mario Kart on the Switch, and they kick my arse. So I thought, let's play Mario Kart on the Wii, and then the younger one got stroppy when she couldn't do it with the steering wheels, so we gave up. She just sort of like put it down and went, I can't do it, like that. And then we played. They like Rayman, but they just fuck about. I've got three controllers. They just fuck about, and then they set it up, and then they were just arsing about, and I don't think I've ever shouted at them before. In the end, I go no, and they go, oh please, can we play it? And I went, no, tough shit. And they went, oh, Uncle O swore, but yeah, and so it might be a keeper, probably not. I don't know. Again, it's only £3 credit. This one's better, £6 credit. Again, £1.50, so I can get 4 times the money for that. So, yeah, brilliant. This one's a random purchase. Just one of those charity shops that never see anything in. This was just randomly sitting there. There were just maybe there were DVDs and maybe a few Blu-Rays, but nothing else. And this was randomly sitting on the shelf. And again, might be a keeper. It's a Nier Automata. Meant to be really good. Looks good, and I really like Nier on the PS3. No, 360. I haven't got the PS3 version anyway. So, but again, £8 credit. And right, moving on to the last story. This last story has a decent ending because it actually means that I've got stuff to show. Oh, hang on. No. Let's do these first. I forgot these. Often see little. I don't know what you call them. The sort of figures that you use in computer games. What do you call them? Like amiibos, Disney Infinity, and Skylanders. What do you call them? What's the collective term? I don't know. But often see them in charity shops. That one where I got the 2 Xbox 360 games has had a boxed Disney Infinity figure for months, you know. But always see like Skylanders and stuff and have no clue. Often see Disneyfinity and figures, but never see amiibos. Never see amiibos, I suppose, because they're Nintendo, people keep hold of them. Most people that have them know what they've got. And this is the first time I've ever seen some amiibos, and they're decent. They're a quid each, just sitting there on the shelf. At the end of the day, weirdly, that's another thing. I'd like to ask people when they go out charity shop hunting. Is it more often that you get all your decent finds early, or does it not make any difference? Because early would mean that the charity shops replenish stock after closing, but from my experience, they just replenish stock throughout the day. So turning up at opening doesn't necessarily make any difference. But I think I've had a few decent finds recently, like this one coming up actually. Next one, a few decent finds recently that have been early on. So I probably wouldn't have got this next one later on in the day. But these two amiibos were later in the day. Both will get me £8 credit, and I don't use amiibos, so I've got a King Dedede and a Wario. These look like Smash Bros amiibos, are they? I don't know anything about amiibos. I just don't like how nuts people went when they were originally out. It just sort of put me right off. But yeah, not bad. So they'll get traded in. And yeah, moving on to this last batch. This is the other story. Early in the day, like I said, excuse me, I'm going to get some water. Early in the day, it was about the third charity shop I've been in. It was sort of before 10 o'clock, I think. I say early because I think they all open about 9:30, so there's no point going earlier than that. Yeah, first charity shop winning. Relatively new charity shop, but I don't think I've really bought much in there. The odd bit here and there, but they've never had anything significant. And this is the first time they've had just really sort of major stuff. And it's one of those situations where right place, right time. Because if I'd been later in the day, then I wouldn't have sort of known either way, because they would have been. Excuse me. Sorry. They would have been hoovered up. But they basically had. Normally, all their stuff's like DVDs, and then there's books, and then just in this one shelf. But then to the side of that, near the till, they had at least four, sort of like tubs of games, just all with laying spine up. And I thought, shit. Actually, they weren't spine up. No, they weren't spine up. They were on this side. So, what am I talking about? Because I had to flick through them, so I couldn't see what was. I had to flick through them, and they were all. And it said £1 each. Oh, bloody hell! I've got some good stuff here, but the heartbreaking. This is one of the This is a heartbreaking element about it. There were 4 Switch games on the front of the pile, and I thought, "Oh, are these a quid as well?" I picked them up, and they were decent titles. What was it? There was a Smash Bros. There was a Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I can't remember what the other 2 were though, and none of them had carts in. It was just like, oh, heartbreaking. I took them to the counter and said, do these have carts? And the woman went, I thought maybe they keep them behind the counter. And she went, no, sorry, we don't. Actually, they've either been stolen or they were never in there in the first place. And it's just, that is absolutely heartbreaking. I thought, could people have gotten to them first? And I was thinking, could someone have nicked them early in the day? Or maybe the day before, if they were there then. But I'm thinking, if that was the case, if they were genuinely nicked, I think a lot of these would have gone as well, because some of these are definitely worth having. Like someone would have nicked them as well, but it's just, I don't know. It's just, I'm just hypothesising. Really, I don't know what genuinely would have happened. I mean, was it yeah, oh, fuck it, I don't know what I'm talking about, but you see, I'm still traumatised. But there was still some decent stuff there, so it makes me think that no, they just weren't. Maybe these switch carts had been kept in a case or something and never put back when they were traded in. But for a quid, it would have probably would have come up to about sort of 60, 70, 80 quid credit for 4 games. It's just heartbreaking. But I did okay otherwise. So this is the happy-ish ending. But doesn't stop me sort of thinking what if in order of I can't do anything in this one. Mortal Kombat X. I've forgotten what I've written a list. The only thing other than was it they had GameCube, they had Xbox 360, they had Xbox One, and they had Switch. Or I say they had Switch. They didn't have Switch because there were no carts, but they had this, and they also had Master Chief Collection, which I didn't take. I probably should have had that over this because again, always for credit if it's Xbox One, and this was credit wise. I don't think I've noted it down. I haven't noted it down. Oh well. It's not a lot. It's about £3, I think. You know, I'll get some money off of it credit wise, but these 4 were no brainers. GameCube games, and they get better as I go along. Not all of the game. There were other GameCube games there, but again, they didn't all have discs. But which make I don't think they were nicked because some of these are better than the ones that were there. So I think the discs were somewhere else, not necessarily stolen. Prince of Persia, Sound of Time. Blood Omen 2. They're all in decent nick and they're all complete. I think, yeah, they are. Yeah. It gets better. Metroid Prime. Again in really nice nick. Oh, hang on. Oh, I totally forgot. How did I forget? There's the. Well, that's the other disc, isn't it? There were 2 discs in there. I totally forgot there were 2 discs in there. There's the correct disc in OK nick. And there's another one. So I've got a spare disc. Bonus. I totally forgot. How random. And the best of the 4, Mario Kart Double Dash. Yeah. So it started out with a bit of heartbreak, but you know, I can't be too pissed off, too miffed. So yeah, that's the end of my story. Yeah. On to the stuff that isn't charity shop based or from charity shops. Right. Pause. Press record. Pause. I bet it's still cut off my voice, isn't it? Right, yeah, this is just basically things I've bought online, things I've treated myself to, and birthday presents. I don't know any particular stories about these. It's just things I've just liked the look of or heard about and wanted to get. I wanted it. Simple as that. 2 Amazon purchases. I think I had a voucher. You know, one of those minimum purchase £15 and you get £5 off, something like that. And I wanted to use it because it was expiring. And I know there's a moral thing about using Amazon because they don't pay tax, but I think I've mentioned to someone in the past who commented on my videos that at the moment it's a vice. Actually, they've changed their system, and I'm bereft. I used to sit there and scroll through all of the listings, and you could see when there was something, one of like a marketplace listing, because it would have a little red price, and they've gotten rid of that. So now you actually have to go into the listing to see what's available, and it's really fucked up my system. I can't sit there and just sort of just scroll using one digit. Actually, I've got arthritis in this finger, and I think I just realised why. It's because that's my scrolling finger. How weird! I've just diagnosed the cause from my look. I can't bend it. This one I can bend like that. That one. How strange. Yeah. So sort of internet scrolling comes back to bite you in the non-bendy finger. Yeah, I had some. I had a voucher on Amazon, and I, you know, if they pay their tax, it would be brilliant. But it's just a vice that I need to work through. I've cut down on sugar in the past. I don't have near as much sugar on bread. Actually, I do still quite a lot of bread, but toast. I love toast. It's just love it. It's such a simple thing. It never betrays you. Some of my favourite foods, you know, they all have the sort of the propensity, not propensity. What's the word? The potential to betray you. Like sausage roll. I like sausage rolls. You might bite into one, and you might have a bit of bounce back, if you know what I mean. But not with toast. But anyway, what am I talking about? Yeah, Amazon. It's a vice. It's a vice I need to work through. I need to wean myself off. At least less. Or I have done now actually, because now they've changed the system. So they've basically shot themselves in the foot. Yeah, right. But on this occasion, I did buy something from Amazon. I think this was initially this was a limited run game. I think, wasn't it? I don't know. Crosscode. It looks like a sort of Zelda-y type sort of 16-bit action RPG, or is it? Is it action? I never quite. I haven't opened it yet because I'm not going to open them until I play it. It doesn't have decent sort of reputation in the Amazon reviews, like the customer reviews, but I think the price started going down. I thought, oh, yeah, I think it went down to under 20 quid, and this one was a bit of more of a no-brainer because it's a genre. I know, well, it's the Streets of Rage 4. What do they call it? Anniversary edition. This is one with the DLC. I think, I don't know. Is it? Anybody knows the DLC digital or is it on the disc? But yeah, and I think I can't remember what they came to, and then with my voucher, I got a bit of money off. Yeah, it's sort of like brilliant. This one, a bit annoyed because I used a big chunk of my remaining credit on it, and because it was basically a no-brainer for me. And then the price went down by it was 40 quid. It's a PS5 game. Price went down by 8 quid in computer exchange. A couple of weeks later, if I'd waited a couple of weeks, I would have got it for 32 rather than 40. But it's Octopath Traveler 2. I'm always really envious of Switch owners who could play the original Octopath Traveler. I just love the look of it. I think that they've really hit on something, that sort of that 16-bit. I forgot. There's a camera technique. I can't remember what it is. It's that camera technique, and they use it in the game where things are out of focus. There are elements that's just really tight focus, and then there are out of focus areas, and there's a style of photography which makes things look like toy towns. Or you can. I've forgotten what it's called. There are people who do it, and it's a technique, and I think Octopath Traveler, and a lot of the other game developers making RPGs and things use that same style, real pinpointed elements of focus to give that. It's I like it, I really like it, and it might be the way forward. It's a nice balance between brand new game. It's not just a sort of a straight port of an old game, because I do tend to wonder what's the point with these high-powered machines when you're just doing that. But I think this does look really good. I've heard that it improves on the original, so yeah. But was 40 quid, and I used up most of my credit, and then they took 8 quid off just a few days later. Gutted. This was a nice little find. Same place actually. A couple of weeks later, went in there, and recently I got a copy of Grand Theft Auto. The limited edition is limited edition. There you go. Show it. Grand Theft Auto limited edition in a charity shop. No, it's still got a crack, and it was missing the soundtrack. And I've been looking for the soundtrack for a while, and nothing came up on eBay, on nothing sort of affordable or what I wanted to pay. But I saw this. It was in a computer exchange under basically Grand Theft Auto boxed. Grand Theft Auto box, because they don't differentiate, so that's one to look out for, because this is worth a lot more than the original game. The only thing with this is it did have the soundtrack, so I could sort of like make a complete one, but it didn't have one of the manuals. But then the maps. But then the maps are identical to the original version maps, so they're like should be peanuts to buy. Well, not that I need to, but Keith Hoost said he was interested in the other one if I was ever going to get rid of it, and I haven't actually mentioned it to him yet. So if Keith, if you're watching, I'll get in contact, and you can have first dibs on the other one. Like I said, it'll be missing the soundtrack and a map, but then I think it should be in decent nick in overall, and I probably won't need anything for it, but so Keith, if you're watching, get in contact, you can have it. Maybe a bit of postage. Anyway, yeah. So that was a sort of nice little surprise. It was a bit of an impromptu. Doesn't happen often. An impromptu CX purchase. This one was a weird one. I've been trying to upgrade my copy of this for ages, but they always come in the same way. And it's Taken Relations 2 on the Xbox. I don't know how many versions of this I've had, but they always have knackered. You can see it actually. They always have knackered sleeves. I've had the original one that had a knackered sleeve. My upgrade, I had a knackered sleeve. It was sort of water damaged. This one looks like it's gone the same way, and I've seen others on eBay that have had the same. Maybe not so much water damage, just moisture damaged, and they've gone a bit wrinkly. This one's better than the other two, so it might be a keeper, but I will keep a sly eye out for a replacement case, just with a better thing. But this was weird. It was I think it popped up on eBay, sold by Music Magpie for about 37 quid. So I thought, as always, any of those companies, check if you ever see them on eBay or Amazon, check their home website, their actual website, to see how much they're selling for, because the prices will always vary if they're listed on all platforms. This was 37 quid on the Music Magpie eBay page. I checked their website and it was a tenner, or just over a tenner. It's just thought, why is it that cheaper? That much cheaper? So I thought, well, I'm clearly not going to let that go. So yeah, this is it. It turned up, and it's a bit better than the other one. I'm upgrading it in tiny little increments. So yeah, and it's got to the point now. Can I be bothered to get a really shiny one? Because I might just make do this one. When looking at it now, it's irritating me. But I love these compilations. This is a cracker. It's got Growl on it. I love Growl. Did a playthrough of Growl. And last one, I think this might have been another Amazon purchase with a voucher. I can't remember. Again, this game looks great. I think the first person I saw playing it was Bithead. It's a sort of game Bithead would love. I don't watch his videos anymore, but randomly one of them popped up, and it's just looked really good. It's a run and gunner, just with a slightly different pace. It's the hunt down, not the hunt down. It's called Hunt Down, not The Hunt Down. It just looks really good. I'd love the pacing of it. It's got a bit of elevator action, sort of ducking in and out of cover, that sort of style. And it just seems like a slight spin on Run and Gunners. It's not just sort of like the balls to the wall action of a Contra. I like them all, to be honest. I don't know who this is by. Oh, this one was released by a limited run type. I don't know, but I didn't realise it was going to come like that, and it's come with these badges and stuff. So it's a nice little surprise, and it was reduced, so it was one I had my eye on. And when the price went down, I thought, again, another Amazon purchase. When the price went down, I thought, why not? And I think it was since Christmas, and I had some Christmas money burning hole in the pocket, so I thought, yeah, why not? And this last one's a birthday present. When it comes to my birthday, I think I've mentioned in the past, birthday and Christmas. My dad just gives me money. My mum doesn't really know what I want because I want really specific things. Like a lot of us, I wouldn't expect her to know. And she finds it easier just to ask me what I want, and I'll tell her, or I'll buy something myself, and she can pretend to give it to me. And this is one of those. It was something that Radical Reggie mentioned on one of his videos, and I really like the look of it. Bookmarked the web page, and was sort of tempted. I've been tempted, but it turns out the shipping was about half again of the price that they wanted, which sort of put me off up until now. But in the end, I thought it's my birthday, and it's something a bit different. It's not like saying, "Can I have a copy of The Last of Us on the PS5?" And going down to Smith's or ordering it on Amazon. This is little bit different, but a little bit more special. So I ordered it, and it sort of turned up, and it's something I'm just really interested in. And Radical Reggie made it sound pretty good, and I am pleased, to be honest. Basically, it's from a company called Project Retro Games, who translate. I don't know if they translated it or they take a translated version of the game and then they release it as if it was like an original version. And they're interesting. They've got a whole load of range of titles. Some that I wouldn't mind. Like I think they've got Police Noughts on the PS1. But this is the one I was really interested in. It's basically Tales of Fantasia on the PS1, long box, came like that, obviously in perfect nick. And this was, I'm not going to say how much it was because it's sort of, well, look it up, you can find out for yourself. Basically, I really like it. I really like the whole, it looks very, it looks very professional, but I have to notice, look, a tiny little crack there, I never noticed that before, bollocks. Oh well. The only gripe I've got with this is that the print quality, you're not going to be able to see it probably, the print quality on the paperwork, like the back cover and the manual, isn't 100%. You can, I don't know if, in certain areas you can see a slight drop in tone. I think around here the definition's good, it's just sort of these areas here and on the front and that the logo, you can, it's not really crisp. That's the only gripe. The manual itself actually, it's not, I don't know what grade of paper it is, but it's sort of slightly, it's sort of, I don't know what, it's not like other manuals, in other words. It's, I don't know if it would be a robust, it's a good standard of paper, it's good thickness, and it's, but it doesn't get that sort of slight sheen that most manuals have, that I think probably makes them more robust and able to stand up to sort of this. I don't think this will necessarily stand up to being sort of opened and used and read. But the best thing about it is the disc. I really like the disc. The disc looks just really professional. It's a proper PS1 disc, and it's a really it's a nicely sort of embossed. I really like that. I don't know if I can. I think the manual's a bit of an arse to get out. It's a slightly different grade of paper, like I said. It's not quite as bad as I haven't looked at it in a few days. It's not quite as bad as I remember, but yeah, it comes like that. I just liked they look like people who were really cared about what they did, and I mean there's a collector's edition of this game that they put out, which is nuts. It's expensive. It's about 200, 300 quid, 250 quid, I think, something like that, 270, I don't know. And it comes with a controller and a PS1, an original PS1, just a whole manner of sort of other perhaps paraphernalia. And it's sort of like, clearly they're people who have a lot of love for what they do. So that's one of the reasons why I was sort of like willing to sort of, to go with this, to say I wanted it for my birthday, even though the cost of the shipping did make me think twice. But it came in a nice box, so I sort of understand in that sense. But it's just the price of the game is sort of like decent, but then the shipping, it's half again. So yeah, I'm really chuffed with that. But if you're interested, it's on Project Retro Games, but you will need a modded console because it needs a console that can play backups. So yeah, I think that's me. There's definitely things I've missed out, but screw it. Yeah. Oh, it's a nice day now. I might go and don't know, do whatever. I'm gonna let you go. Until next time. Stay frosty. Cheers.